Hey everyone, it is Evan here from the Trade Risk on Wednesday, April 1st. We are intraday right now, and this is our weekly swing trade ideas video where we bring you some of the names from our watch list, stocks that are holding up well and showing some relative strength. As always, these videos are powered by our partners over at Investors Business Daily. We curate ideas from their stock lists. You can get access to their stock lists with a link in the description of this video. Now, before we kick things off, I want to just briefly touch on the market environment here. So we did our long-form market analysis yesterday. If you didn't catch that and you're interested, you can watch the last video on the YouTube channel. But basically, we talked about the fact that swing trading is still sort of a tricky environment, overnight holds in general, and we're looking for more signs of stabilization. And we outlined this little 4-day consolidation pattern heading into today as a good test to kind of measure the character of the market. And you can see we're starting to, in fact, we did roll over, we gapped down, and we broke down from this range. So this to me, again, and at the time of recording this, we're down 4% in the S&P 500. So what this basically tells me as a overnight trader, as a swing trader, position trader, that there's still elevated risks out there, ranges are still expanded, and we are still in the grips of this downtrend. So above all else, risk management is still first and foremost priority, and we should be very selective in those trades and frankly be a bit cautious. Now, all of these ideas, of course, we always look at long only ideas, except for sometimes on the short indices that we'll present. And in fact, last Wednesday, last Wednesday, we presented a short idea here in the S&P 500 right around and in these levels. That was sort of the first initial zone to look to short. If you did, aggressively sort of take that short, or if you did kind of get in there in this consolidation, then perhaps you're getting some of the payoff today as this market rolls over. So let's jump in with that sort of backdrop here to some of the long ideas. We just have 4 trade ideas we're going to look at here. Again, all on the long side. So none of these mean, none of this is meant to mean that we should buy blindly or jump out and rush in to get any of these stocks. These are simply watch list candidates that I want to continue to pay attention and watch closely for when we do get further stabilization in the market environment. So the first here is GSX. This here is a total monster in this environment. It's one of the strongest stocks you're going to find, and it hasn't quite broken out yet. It hasn't run and stretched like some of the other online plays have. GSX here has been consolidating since February. Frankly, it's one of the best charts I can find out there just in terms of actionable and strength. So GSX here, again, it's still consolidating. It's getting tight here over the past 5 or so days. Volume is drying up a bit, so give it some time. But if you are looking for some breakout, if you are looking for long ideas, if you do want to see some names that are breaking out and showing relative strength, I think GSX here has to be on your watch list over those recent highs, or if you want to be a little bit tighter, around $44, that looks real good above there. So GSX is number 1. Number 2 here is VEEV. This comes from IBD's watch list. This is another strong stock here. This is one that we did trade back in this zone here. Towards the end of 2019, we had a position in here. We scaled some into strength, and then I think we got stopped out as this started to pull back to earth here in early 2020. But what I like here about Viva is that it did break through and break down from this 135, this mid 130 support that had been in place for over almost a year or so, came all the way down into the mid 120s, and then it pushed right back over this 135, 138 support. So for me, when I look at this particular stock now, It still needs more time. It's not breaking out yet, but if I look on a weekly chart, you can see just the nice, urgency that stepped in here. The buyers that stepped in here accumulated and bid up this stock into the 120s, and it drove it back over this 135 area. So for me, as long as it holds above there, I think this is a good, strong, candidate to pay attention to. Got some good relative strength, and it's back above significant price structure. Last but not least is a more popular name that's working in this environment is DocuSign. So Docu back up at all-time highs. It's trying to close at all-time highs today. This has had a pretty good run. This market sort of sniffed out the strength here. It is just getting back to its highs after the initial drop. So there could be some more fuel to this tank here in Docu if it continues to hold and momentum kind of, hides out or really kind of concentrates in these types of kind of more clear, obvious beneficiaries in this type of economic environment that we're in right now. So DOCU, it's a little bit stretched here in the short term, but it is breaking out to new, to new all-time highs. But it has, run pretty good amount of, 42% in the past 10 days. So you do have to be cautious there with Docu. Last but not least, from our watch list, again, for my, the way I look at this market, I'm still trying to be very hands-off here. So again, curating these long ideas, but this is TDOC, TDOC. This is one that, again, has sort of been sniffed out by the market, and I think a lot of people are probably already have eyes on this. It's a little less actionable, but still from a relative strength point of view, this is extremely strong here, trading just under its all-time highs. It continues to kind of base and break out. It didn't even really get a very significant pullback here in the grand scheme of things during the initial wave down in March and February, and it is right back to these prior highs. It does have some consolidation, so you do have some levels to measure risk against, but it's still a stock that is very much in demand in this type of environment. So that's it. Those are the four names from this week, and a little bit of context to start. Again, you don't have to trade every day. I frankly have been doing very little in this type of environment because, quite frankly, it doesn't really play to the strengths of the strategy that I, employ on the market. So I'm willing to sort of sit patient and just build out watch lists like these names. So that's it for me. Thanks as always for tuning in and watching. Every Wednesday, trade ideas just like this. We'll see you back here on Friday for the weekend market recap video.